Okay, well, as you guys have heard probably because Jenell's missing, I am Jenell Parsons. I own the Pie Hole. We are celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. And as the name suggests, we make pie.
Awesome. And I've had the opportunity to try all three of them, and honestly, amazing. The pies, the bacon, and the charcuterie box is all amazing. You guys have to try them afterwards. But yeah, so the first question we have for the panel is, how did you get involved with what you're doing now? So how did your business start, and what kind of started it all? If we could start with maybe Heat.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the culinary industry since 2005. So I've been working in kitchens since my early 20s. And after working in kitchens, I found my way to the Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel, and they actually had a charcuterie program there. And so I had a really amazing mentor that taught me how to make charcuterie. So we were able to like break down pigs and lamb, make sausages, cure a ton of meats. And, you know, I basically fell in love with the art of charcuterie, but I was really drawn towards artisan bacon. And I really like bacon because if you make it properly, the proper way where it's actually hand cured, naturally smoked, it's so delicious. And you can just tell the difference between the supermarket highly processed bacon to something that's made by hand. And you could really taste the love that's really put into something that's made by hand. And there was also a market for it. So one day I was on Facebook and I came across an ad for an Indigenous entrepreneur program, and I'm Cree and Métis. So I applied for the program, and that basically taught me how to come up with a good idea for, you know, coming up with a business. And we had this presentation, this pitch at the end of the program, and they're like, what's your business plan? And I said, well, I'd love to make artisan bacon and sell it at the farmer's market. That's what my idea was. That's what my pitch was. And by the end of the program, they're handing out the awards for the best pitch and idea. And I won. And I was super stoked on that. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do it? So I applied for the farmer's market and got in that summer. And it was, it kind of just took off from there. So something that was kind of something I was very passionate about, came across the program that was offered to me, and then having the confidence to be able to move that forward and just have the guts to be like, okay, let's just try it out, even just for a summer at the market. Let's see how it goes. So that's how it got started.
Wow, but yeah, that's an amazing story, combining like your passion and making a business out of it. That's awesome. All right, Victoria, you want to go next?
Yeah, it was actually quite similar. It was a passion for me too. It started as a passion project and then it turned into a business. But I was basically born and raised in Belgium, so Europe, lots of cheese, lots of charcuterie meats, very delicious. And when my parents didn't want to cook, that's kind of what they would give us for dinner. And I loved it, and that's what I grew up knowing. And when I moved to Canada, I started doing the same. And then I started doing it for friends, for parties, birthdays, and slowly got the idea that maybe I could actually start building a business. And I launched last year, and I've been doing it for almost a year, and it's been a lot of fun because, like I said, and like he said, it's a passion. So it's easy when it's a passion. I mean, there's tough times, but it's a passion. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, and finally, Jenell.
Thanks, Andy. I think both of these panelists kind of nailed it. It has to be a passion. This is not an industry, and Andy, you as well. I'm sure you've made cookies all night and not slept. It's not an industry that you get into because you're going to get rich fast or anything like that. You have to be incredibly passionate. For me, I got into pie making. My sister actually was living in New Zealand, and she said, when I get back, and this is like dating me because I've been doing it for 10 years, but when I get back, the Olympics is coming to Vancouver. Let's open a pie shop and let's represent the whole world through pie. And I find it to be such a versatile medium that you can put anything in a pastry and it's going to taste amazing. So it was really fun to experiment and explore that. And it allows me to be creative all the time, which keeps it exciting, and allows you to just explore, and it's a different type of art form. So for me, that's how I got into it initially. And the same thing, anyone who would let me set up a table, I set it up, I sold pies, and I'd work all night to refill that table for the next person who would let me set it up. So whether it was bakers markets, farmers markets, food truck festivals, literally just anybody who would give me a chance.
Yeah, I 100% relate to that. Definitely been there with the overnight baking, and it's not fun, but definitely better when it's a passion. All right. So the next question we have for the panel is, how has the pandemic impacted your business and how have you adapted? So maybe let's go backwards. So start with Jenell this time.
For sure. I mean, I think we were all there and there was so much uncertainty in the beginning. And I know Victoria mentioned you started at the beginning of a pandemic, it sounds like. For me, I had three retail locations when the pandemic started. We did lose one, but for property redevelopment, not anything to do with the climate. The food industry, we've been pretty lucky in British Columbia because it wasn't mandated that we had to shut down. I still chose to shut my business down for 2 months out of compassionate closure, not wanting my team, they are my family, to have to go out and take public transit and figure out how to get to work safely. And with no one knowing how to deal with it, it was scary. And every day there was a lot of pressure because everyone wanted me to have answers. I didn't have answers. Our government, our health authorities didn't have answers. So shutting down felt like the right thing at the time. I'm going to get emotional right now. Writing a layoff letter to over 40 employees, telling them that they had to lose their jobs and I didn't know if they were coming back, was the toughest thing I've ever done. And even harder than starting this business, but telling people you don't know what their future is sucked. But after 2 months, or just shy of 2 months, we reopened our doors, and the support, and I think all of you guys can probably feel this, for supporting local has been phenomenal, like phenomenal. We've never been doing better. And I'm so fortunate to say that. I don't know if it's that pie is comfort food, or what the deal is, but people are supporting us. Our sales are up over the year before, and to lose a location and to be in a pandemic and have your sales increasing is unbelievable. So for us, it's been great, but it's been a learning curve. Daily, I'm talking with the health authorities. I'm inviting them into my space because we have nothing to worry about. We need to know and we need to be on top of it to protect the staff and the employees, to protect the community, our customers. So for me, it's been a great learning experience and a tremendous time for us to grow, really.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, seeing that kind of growth. Wow. All right, and Victoria, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, so I started taking orders, I think it was 2-3 weeks right before the pandemic hit Canada. So I was hopeful and I was excited, and then I got booked up for a few weeks and we got the news and I had to reimburse everybody, cancel all the orders, and just take some time to rethink, redirect, and just get a plan going to still be able to do it. So instead of doing boards and tables, I switched to boxes and have been making boxes ever since, because it doesn't matter if it's a smaller gathering, boxes work. There's no real exchange with other guests, so it worked. And I also had to adapt when it comes to pickups and deliveries. It has to be contactless. So I think it's similar for me. I'm really thankful because I still managed to make it work, and it had an impact, but in a way it had a positive impact too, because I think, like Jenell said, I got a lot of love during Christmas, lots of orders. I don't think I really can complain because it was really crazy. And yeah, I think it was just that 2-3 week period where I had to redirect the business. That was a little stressful and challenging, but once we got the ball rolling, it was good. It was nice. It was fun, and yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, seeing that kind of growth. Wow. All right, and Victoria, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, so I started taking orders, I think it was 2-3 weeks right before the pandemic hit Canada. So I was hopeful and I was excited, and then we got the ball rolling. It was good. It was nice. It was fun, and yeah.
Yeah, that must have sucked at the beginning, finding out only 2, 3 weeks in. But yeah, I'm glad you overcame it. All right,
Yeah.
and finally, Heat.
So I actually started my business full time last January, and I had gotten into YVR Prep, which is the kitchen that Andy and I both rent out together at the commissary kitchen. I had just got my permit, like, I think a couple weeks after the pandemic hit. So I had my paperwork in just in the nick of time, because they stopped taking paperwork to get permits for kitchens, because they had to go to all the old folks' homes and care homes, just to, their resources were needed elsewhere. Anyways, basically our orders had probably quadrupled, just because people started ordering from Spud and from like local grocery stores, retail. So a lot of my retailers, their orders were a lot higher than usual because people wanted to start buying online. I did start getting an influx of orders for door-to-door contactless deliveries. And yes, people did want to start supporting local and just keep all that money into the local economy. So yeah, it's definitely been a blessing. And I think I had really good timing with getting my permit, and just having the support of like local people that I met through the farmers markets. So yeah, I'm just very lucky. So for me, it was a positive experience, and just getting new vendors, people to carry our bacon because of the pandemic happening. They're still continuing to order, and their orders have been pretty consistent since then.
Wow, so it sounds like you all have been able to adapt, overcome, and obviously succeed over the pandemic. That's amazing. All right, and then I think the last question I have from here is, for those who may be interested about wanting to get into the food industry, what advice would you give them? What do you think they should be preparing for or thinking about when they start? Maybe this time we'll start with Victoria.
Yeah. I think the most important one would be the one that we talked about, being passionate about the project or whatever they want to start. I think it applies to anything, not just the food industry. Just be passionate, love what you do, because when there is tough times and some challenges, at least you're doing what you love. Second one would probably be creative, stand out, do something that you're proud of and that represents you and your passion and your ideas. And lastly, but very important too, would definitely be to be following the guidelines, having a food safe certification, doing all the paperwork right before starting, being prepared, being on top of it, and make sure that you protect yourself. Food is no joke. So
that's very true. All right, and Heat, if you want to go next.
I think it's super important to, yes, be passionate about what you do, but I do think that if you're going to be working in food, you should at least go to culinary school or find a really good mentor to apprentice under. I think that some people are like, I've seen some people be like, I'm going to start like some food business, and they don't have the experience to back it up. And you really want credibility, I think, if you're going to start your own food business, whatever the product is. So I think that's really important to just, to just have that credibility behind you, and the experience is paramount, I think, in the food industry. I don't think you need a ton of money to start a business. Like, I started my business with $6,000, and I just used my savings and slowly started, I got a small smoker. I rented out some space from a butcher shop and would smoke on his patio. And it just kind of started from there. So just not full bore being like, I'm going to get a huge loan for like $100,000 and make my own kitchen. Like, I just think you want to be able to be cautious and test the market and just kind of take it slow. Like, just take your time, and you're not going to be, I think it's just kind of hard and for someone to just start a business right away. I think that you need to take your time and just see what kind of market you're going to go for and test the market and it all takes time. So I think patience, that's what the answer is I'm going for, is you need to be patient. And I think that it's important to rely on people that you trust. So, you know, a lot of the people that are working with me right now, I trust them, and I've worked with them in the kitchens before, and you know, they're easy to train. And so you want to have somebody that's also experienced in that industry to have your back and help you out. So those would be the three advice points that I would give.
All right, that's great. Thank you. And finally, Jenell.
Hey, and I'm not sure, forgive me, Victoria, I don't know if you've been in this position, but I know with Andy Heat and even myself, a commissary kitchen has been something that I think was pretty pivotal in the early days of starting for me, because you're getting in and you're not, as Heat mentioned, you're not spending a fortune. I mean, those rents are going to feel high for sure. I remember in the days when I knew how many pies I had to sell to pay rent, and eventually that number just kind of goes away and it starts working itself out. But getting into an environment, and these kitchens are spaces where you've got a number of businesses. I wasn't at YVR Prep, that wasn't around back when I started, but I was in a different commissary, and you've got, I think at one point we had 35 different small businesses in there, and you see a lot come, and you start to recognize who's going to make it and who's probably not, because of the drive and the passion, which we've all touched on. It's so important because you really have to give it everything you've got, and you have to wake up every day and want to go back and do the same thing again that maybe took you 18 hours to do the day before. And you have to want to do that. And if you're dreading doing it, you're not going to make it. Sorry, but that's just the thing. And there will be days where you're like, oh God, I really would rather not. But in the end, after 10 years, like I'm actually excited on the days where I get to put the computer away and I get to put the paperwork away and I'm not managing people and I get to go out and make pie. Like, I'm so excited for those days when that happens. Today, I spent all afternoon between interviewing people. So if anyone needs a job, call me. And also just getting in and actually diving in and making pie. So it really goes back to passion. And if you're thinking about doing it, get a job somewhere and try this and see if you actually like it, because it's not a glamorous thing by any means. And you guys can all attest to that. And it's a lot of hard work. And so that's probably the biggest thing for me if you're wanting to get into this industry. And the second one is think outside the box. Reinvent the wheel. I've put things in pies that blow people's mind. That's how I've gotten attention. That's why I just 2 months ago, I think November, my cookbook came out, over 100 pie recipes in it, because there's stuff in there that no one's ever seen or thought of. So push those limits and excite people. Food comes in trends, and staying on top in the forefront of that trend is really important to succeed in this industry.
I 100% agree. I had your Korean pork pie, and that was very, very good. I love that one. It was so good. And I 100% agree also with testing it out first too. That's how I kind of got started. I had my first job as a baker, and I kind of fell in love with it and knew that's where I wanted to go. So it's a great way to test out if this is something you actually want to do and get involved in. All right. And so also, if any of you guys in the audience have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. We have some ready to go. So what are some challenges you've had that are specific to the food industry and aren't, aside from COVID, what are some challenges you've had specific to the food industry, and how did you overcome them? And we can start with maybe Heat.
That's kind of a loaded question. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is probably sourcing my pork. So the more bacon I'm making, the more pork I need, the more pork belly I need. So it was kind of a pain in the ass to find direct distributor. So I was actually going through a secondary supplier to get my pork belly, and just the price, it was just killing me. So just by chance, a couple months ago, I had a customer who asked me like, oh, have you ever heard of Donald's Fine Foods? And I was like, yeah, actually a year ago, I tried to contact them to get direct pork belly from them. So just straight to the source, straight to the people that have the farm. I just wasn't able to get through to them. And when I did, they said that they had too many vendors that they were already supplying to. Anyways, like a year later, one of my customers, his best friend is the daughter of the owner of Donald's Fine Foods. So just by chance, I was able to get an actual like phone call with the owner of the guy that owns the whole entire enterprise. And now I'm able to source the pork belly direct and still get a really amazing price for such an amazing quality pork belly. But I think sourcing like your main ingredient, that can be really tough because you start to learn the fluctuations of prices. If it's like an import product or export product. So you really gotta be flexible. If your price of your pork belly goes up by like $1 per kg, then you need to like account for that in your pricing of your product for like retail, wholesale. So that was like a really big learning experience for me. And it sucks sometimes to say, I got to raise my prices to my customer because you feel like you want to give them the best deal when actually you need to be able to pay your employees, your rent, and yourself lastly. I feel like, I'm the owner, so I pay myself last. So, it's something that you really need to think about when you're pricing something and you're getting your main product and understanding the price fluctuations that come with your ingredients for your product.
Mm-hmm. All right, and could we have Jenell next?
For sure. I mean, I don't know if I hope it's not just specific to this industry, but it could be. We've all put our hearts and soul into our product. And for me, being at a point where I have quite a few employees, that's one of the hardest things in this industry is the turnover rate and finding people. You're not going to find anyone who cares about your product more than you. And so finding people that you can trust and he hit the nail on the head there. You don't pay yourself more than you pay your employees. The people that you hire control your business, really. They are your business, and what they put into it is what the customer is receiving. So you have to treat your employees better than you treat yourself, which kind of sucks, but it's true to put yourself down there. So I think that in this industry, like that turnover rate is the thing that is the most frustrating to me, is the managing people. And it is such it can be a high stress environment for sure. So finding people that want to come in and they're not making a tremendous amount of money either, but they're doing it because they love it and they believe in what you're doing. So finding people that hopefully care as much as you do. And that's one of the biggest, I think, struggles that I find in the food industry. Food costing is that's a whole other thing. Oh God, that's a daily struggle, and playing one vendor off the next, but also wanting to support local. We just got a new egg vendor, and I'm so happy about it. But like, it's constantly like building relationships within the community for that too, because you want to supply your customer with the best possible. But a lot of customers don't understand the value in it. And like, really quick story, I was at a food truck festival years ago, and a lady came up to me and we were selling little handmade fruit pies, and all of the apples are hand peeled, hand sliced and diced. The pastry is made. We use a double butter pastry. Like, nothing about what I do is cutting corners. And she came up and was absolutely appalled that I was charging $5 for a handmade pie. And she was holding one of those big lemonades right from the guy next to me. And I'm watching him squeeze a half a lemon into a cup of sugar water and charge $7 for it. And like, everything, and I couldn't. And don't let people walk all over you. You can fire customers. And I looked at her and I said, that's fine. Then you go home and make your own pie. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're going to pay $7 for a half a lemon and half a cup of sugar, then I don't want to talk to you. So you can do that. And you guys are starting out. Fire people if they make you feel terrible, because know your value, know your worth, and trust in your product, and know that what you're giving your customers, the people who do value it, will come back.
Wow, that's insane. $7 for a lemonade?
Have you seen those? Like the big squeezy thing that looks like a lemon? It's terrible. And I watched all swatting wasps off of it all day. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I spent all night like hand rolling this. Like, to make this and you're going to tell me that it's not worth it and you can make it for cheaper, then go do it. After 10 years, you get a little jaded.
No, not at all. I feel like that's definitely times when that's warranted, 100%. And finally, Victoria, if you want to take it away.
I think what was said, I definitely agree with that. I've had people tell me too that my boxes, like, why would you charge so much? It's just a box with fruits. I'm like, it's not just a box with fruits. There's much more that comes with it. And I think the hardest part for me was to find the right pricing that was worth it for me, but also to be respected for it. So every time I would think about bumping my prices a little bit, I would get scared and I would be like, no, maybe I'll lose customers. I think that's the hardest part for me, is to always think or forget that what I do is worth what I'm asking. Like, if someone wanted to make a charcuterie box, they would have to pay at least $100. So they are getting it for cheaper than they would spend to make it. So, and plus all the work and testing and having to go to different stores, because I want the best strawberries, but I also want the best crackers, and I want the locally made jams, and you know, all that takes time. So I think that's the hardest, is for myself to remember that what I do is not a cheap work, and that I need to stand up for myself, and that people will think that it's easy and cheap, and it's not. And so sometimes I get orders, really long orders with specific meats, specific cheese, specific fruits, specific crackers. I'm like, all those are the most expensive options, and you're not there to actually pair different cheeses and meats that go well together. You're just wanting a box full of food for cheap, basically. And that's the most frustrating part. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I could definitely see how that's very frustrating. 100%. All right, and our next question, a little bit on the lighter side, is what is the coolest thing you've ever experienced, or coolest opportunity you've ever had that you've gotten because you're an entrepreneur or because of your business? And could we start with Jenell?
You know mine?
I think so.
Now I'm like, what does Andy know? I've had some experiences. So, I mean, and I feel like you're going to say, because I was on Triple D, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and I got to cook with Guy Fieri, which is pretty rad.
That's so cool.
I know. I've got a card right beside me here that's that he sent me, a Christmas card that he hand wrote. Like, it's amazing. Wow. So I feel like we're like tight. But that wasn't even going to be the one. Actually, this was years ago, and I got a call from U2, from Bono, and he ordered pies for the whole band, and they were just finishing their rehearsal, and I had at Pacific Coliseum, and for their world tour, and they wanted to treat everyone to pie, and I was 7 months pregnant, and I was like, oh God, I can't, like, it was a lot of pie, and I quickly made it, and I'm like this in the summer, and I'm like this giant pregnant woman, and I was very big. And I brought so many pies, and they loved them so much that the president of Live Nation called me shortly after and said, Bono was so happy that they want you to be a special guest at the concert. And so I got to go and be right beside the stage. And that was pretty cool. That was a cool one.
That is so cool.
I know. Yeah, we've had a few experiences like that. Like, I don't know, we get to do a lot of stuff for a lot of celebrities. So it's kind of fun, but that one was really kind of neat.
That's great. If you want to go next.
Nothing that, like, I love concerts. I miss concerts. Yeah, that's so cool. I think just because we're a fairly new-ish business, what's been really cool this year, we were featured in a YouTube small business video for Google. So that was cool. And they sent me a bunch of swag, like some headphones and Google Nest, like a bunch of swag. So that was really cool to be featured on a platform that has so many viewers, and we're able to get out to people that have don't really know who we are yet. I think interest from like media people, like there's people that have contacted us wanting to do like a feature or documentary, just because I definitely intertwine my heritage of being Indigenous, an Indigenous entrepreneur with also my business. So I think that we definitely have a lot of really cool upcoming opportunities. And for me, talking to Indigenous youth or downtown East Side youth, being involved in the community, that's an honor to be able to help people or speak to kids about, leading a healthy lifestyle, and just trying to keep your nose clean and stay out of trouble, and just show them that, it doesn't matter how you grew up, or if you're poor, or, you had a crappy upbringing, that you can really come from someplace so low and you can be your own success story. So I think having the opportunity to talk to youth, that's like so paramount for me in the business. But yeah, I think doing dinners and talking to kids and doing things in the community, that's what has made One Arrow just very successful, and just kind of putting yourself out there and knowing that you can make a difference in the community. So that's probably my favorite thing that's happened right now since I started the business.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. All right, and finally, Victoria.
I haven't been in business for a very long time. It's been less than a year, so I'm not there yet. That's really high level. But I think the best one so far was the styled photo shoot that I did back in August. It got featured in the Rocky Mountain Bride magazine on their website, so that was definitely a cool experience. And this is really fun too, actually. This feels special. So yeah, these two for sure. I got to work with a lot of photographers, other vendors, getting to know people, still getting to socialize a little bit even during a pandemic, which helped mental health and everything. So yeah.
Alrighty, that's perfect. And our next question is, so I know you touched a little bit on it, but how did you incorporate yourself into your business and your brand, and what does that kind of look like? So if you want to maybe expand a little bit more, or
how do I into my business? Well, I guess the story is very unique in the way that, I was a chef working in the industry, and I came across the Indigenous Entrepreneur Program that was at the, Aboriginal at the Friendship Center down on Commercial in Hastings, which was a free program. And I think just taking the ball and running with it, and taking that program and having the confidence to start my own small business, I think showing youth and Indigenous people that you can make, not have a ton of money and make a successful business slowly and surely, and you can be an inspiration to people in the community. I think being able to tell my story to people, that's very important. And just, I guess, being a good role model, because basically you are the face of your business. So the way that you present yourself and, the things that you do really showcase what your business is about. So, yeah, I guess just having the opportunity to just be a role model, and just tell your story and share your story with people, that really helps grow your business and inspire people. I think just being an inspirational person by being perseverant and just being determined can really show people what the possibilities are to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Victoria, if you want to go next.
I think everything who I am is incorporated in my boxes all the time, because I constantly use Spanish cheeses and French cheeses, and constantly using and discovering new meats from everywhere in the world, but most importantly from Europe. So I just feel like I just stayed true to myself, and every box I make feels like a representation of who I am and how I grew up, what my mom used to make for me for dinner. Like everything, it just feels so homely. So everything about it, I feel so, yeah, just the creativity of it, the colorful part of it too, everything just feels really, yeah, it feels like me in every single aspect of it.
Yeah, like having a connection to it almost. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and finally, Jenell.
I really relate and echo with what Victoria just said. I mean, I feel like everything about my company is so calculated to represent me, from having a really kind of playful name, the Pie Hole, being able to joke around with that name, come up with recipes, things that just encompass my personality. That's been really important, being very strategic with our social media and how I represent myself. It's still bizarre to me that people come in here and want to meet me and get excited to meet me. That's just like weird. I don't get it because it's just me, and I'm typically look like this. I took my hairnet off for this one. But yeah, it's just been a very interesting kind of thing to try to evolve the company to represent who you are and the thing that you're passionate about. And I feel like I've been pretty successful. My book is definitely the cumulation of that. Like it's just come together, and that's me in one neat little package. And I want to say that I'm really sorry. I have 3% battery. I keep looking because it's going to die. So if I just disappear, it's been so lovely talking with everybody. If anyone watching had questions, you can DM me on Instagram, LinkedIn. I think I've put all of my things on my profile. I'm happy to answer them. And I'll stay here until it dies. But sorry, guys. Forgot my charger.
Thank you for spending your final moments with us.
That sounds so sad.
Of your laptop, of course. We have just some other fun questions. Like, what's your guys' favorite product of your own to make? You want to start with Jenell?
Since I'm going to disappear.
Yeah.
My favorite?
Yeah, your favorite product to make.
Oh my gosh.
Or your favorite to eat.
I'm kind of traditional and boring. I love lemon meringue pie. I love the butter pastry. I love the tart lemon curd, the Italian meringue. To me, it's just like the perfect marriage of things. Even though we've got so many fun and crazy flavors, that one's got my heart.
All right. Perfect. Heath, if you want to go next.
Sorry, the question was, what's your favorite product of your own that you like to eat the most?
I guess it's a little bit different for yours. Or even make. Is there a specific one you like to make more often, or just enjoy more?
Yeah, I love so I have 4 flavors of bacon. My favorite flavor is the salt and smoke, and it's the 0 sugar. It's the keto bacon. It's just Vancouver Island sea salt and a little bit of cure and natural smoke. And it's very basic, but I'm a basic bee, so it's my favorite flavor. But yeah, I have it like a couple times a week, and I just make BLTs and breakfast. I love breakfast, so yeah, I'm usually making that.
They're awesome with eggs.
Yeah.
I love the maple smoked one. That one's fire.
Yeah, you always get the maple. You have to try another flavor.
No, I love that one. That's my go-to. All right, and finally, Victoria.
I think the box that I like to make the most is the vegan one, because it's colorful. It's just so fun to try to replace meats with vegan options, cheeses. But to eat, I would say the OG one, because I eat meat and I eat cheese. So I want the real cheese. Yeah, I'm pretty simple. A good French cheese and good meat, and I'm happy. So definitely the OG one.
All right. And someone asked what my favorite cookie is, and it's the chocolate peanut butter. I love peanut butter, so I'm a sucker for that. All right. And all right, and we're just wrapping up, I guess, right about now. So if there's anything you guys want to leave the students with, any last bits of advice or anything you want to share, where can we find you? Maybe a little promo about your own business and what you guys are up to, anything exciting coming up next, feel free to share away. If you want to start with Victoria this time.
Yeah, definitely. I actually made a coupon code if you're interested to try our boxes. It's YEL 15, so you get 15% off your order. And then, of course, I'm available if you want to reach out to me. My Instagram is MIEL Snackplatters. I always answer DMs, so if you have any questions, you can reach out or even via email, whatever works for you.
All right. Jenell, if you want to go next.
Well, I've got a couple shops. So I'm out in Burnaby right now, but we've got one on West 4th in Vancouver. So that's a great way, thepiehole.com. You can always do orders. Our Instagram's pretty tasty, so that'll give you a good idea of what we've got going on. Right now is Valentine's Day stuff. National Pie Day is coming up, March 14th. That's a big one. And yeah, that's where you can find us. I'm excited to hear because I actually want to try both. I've tried Andy's cookies. I'll be back. But I want to try both of your guys' stuff. I've never tried it. So I would be reaching out to you guys.
Sounds good.
Perfect. And last but not least, Keith.
Okay, Jenell, I live right from the Kitsilano location, so I'll swing by and drop you off some bacon. Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at OneArrowYVR, and you can check out our website, onearrowmeats.com. And we just signed up for some farmers market dates for the Vancouver farmers market, and nothing too crazy right now. We're just kind of taking a break, and then yeah, once the farmers markets get into full swing, we'll be doing that. But that's about it for now, and then just saving our energy for when spring, summer kicks off.
Farmers markets, woo! All right, and thank you all the YEL students for joining us today in the food industry section, and totally unbiased, but I think this is the best industry. I also want to invite all the students to, if you guys are interested in any of the speakers, want to reach out any more, have any more questions, feel free to reach through any of the media in the chat if you guys see it right now. They're also available on LinkedIn and Instagram too, I think they mentioned. And the LinkedIn you should be able to find on the platform. So if you guys want to please head over to the main stage now by closing and we'll have the closing keynote with Charles Chang. And once again, thank you so much for being a part of YEL Community Day. And thank you to our panelists for joining us today. So thank you so much.